So the next topic is about boater safety, and there's information in your memo under item 2, river use boating conflicts, along with an attachment that has been provided by the Oregon State Marine Board, and if you look at item B3 and table B. So boater safety and reducing conflicts in the seasonally boater congested South Reach has been an important topic during the South Reach planning and reflected in testimony received and interest from the Commission. The proposed draft contains objectives and actions that seek more education and enforcement. One action is geared toward increased funding and staffing of the Multnomah County River Patrol that enforces boating rules on the river. Multnomah County Commissioner Myron is supportive of boater safety and offered minor edits, and that's what you see in item B3 to action R11C. And then just to set the record straight, the state of Oregon sets boater rules in the river. The Marine Board has provided this handout, which discusses its current rulemaking process in the lower Willamette, existing boating regulations, and the boating rule development process. The Marine Board convened a rulemaking advisory committee to provide input on possible new boating rules for the lower Willamette, including the South Reach area. Recommendations to the Marine Board is anticipated to happen in late 2020, with the rules going into effect in 2021. And I think I mentioned earlier that I am on this rulemaking committee as a representing city planning. Staff suggests that coming back to you this summer, when the proposed rulemaking recommendations are ready for public comment and review, and have a discussion and review your comments that you would like forwarded to the Marine Board. Josh Mulholland, he's a project manager for the lower Willamette rulemaking, is here today. He's still here. Yay, he's still here, and can answer any questions you might have. And I let Josh know in advance that the Commission is interested in providing comments on the proposed rulemaking recommendations, and he thinks that the Marine Board will be very pleased to hear from Planning and Sustainability Commission. So I don't know if you have any questions of Josh?
Sure. Mike, yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming to visit us. Josh?
So this wasn't addressed in any of the testimony, but I have to ask the question, do you foresee the Marine Board taking up the issue of no wake zones expansions in, like, say, the Holgate Channel? Is that even a possibility?
Good afternoon, members of the Commission. I'm Josh Mulholland, Environment and Policy Program Manager for the Oregon State Marine Board. So the rulemaking process that Debbie outlined and the concepts that Rule Advisory Committee are evaluating, there are several of those concepts that do involve some sort of additional regulations, potentially a slow no wake zone, specifically around the Willamette Park to Holgate Channel area. Currently, we have some different, I'm not even going to call them proposals, but concepts that are being considered by the Rule Advisory Committee, and many of those have substantial protections in that area.
Yeah, you did, after I think about 3 years, establish a no wake zone from the Oregon Yacht Club down to and including the lagoon and Ross Island, but not the downstream stretch of the Multnomah Channel. So, and interestingly, I'm looking through the literature that we were given. There's a reference to 5 miles per hour, and I thought that the rule had been changed from speed to just no wake, because the new boats for wakeboarding are such that they could go even slower than that and still create a massive wake. Is that correct?
In our administrative rules, there are still references to a 5-mile-per-hour speed limit. Our current practice when putting in those types of regulations are to use slow, no-wake language to address the same kind of thing you're talking about. So anything that we would put forward in the future would be a slow, no-wake zone as opposed to a speed limit. Also, the speed limits on water are enforcement is tricky, which is apparently a theme of this commission.
Yep.
And it's something that our law enforcement partners have dissuaded us against because they don't have radar guns when they're out on the water.
Right.
I have a question. I'm not sure it's for you or for staff. Is that one thing I brought up after public testimony was, are there ways that we can, through prioritize people-powered transportation, whether it's rowing or swimming or what have you, over motorized traffic on the river, and on the shoreline where we have a little more purview, maybe that has to do with locating docks or ways that we can sort of tip the scale, and then also things your commission might be able to do with with us writing it as a suggestion and letter, whether there's some, and I guess the other last option is the tricky way where we potentially provide a swimming area and therefore you have to have a no-wake zone within a certain distance of it. So we could effectively create no-wake zones by putting stuff in the river that forces your hand.
We have a history of changing boating regulations in response to the development of swim zones, things of that nature. I mean, just this year, we authorized a slow no-wake zone outside of the swim zone, not in the South Reach, a little bit north of there. And it's something that the board is certainly receptive to. I mean, our priority is safety for those on the water, first and foremost. I think our board would encourage this commission to bring them into consultation early and often. I think that they may be less inclined to act if they feel blindsided by things after they've already been done without the Marine Board's at least knowledge of it. I'm not going to speak for my board necessarily, but I've seen that kind of thing in the past.
Okay.
And if I could just comment on your prioritization question. If you look at the existing facilities and in this plan, the recommendations for new facilities in the South Reach, they tend to be light watercraft oriented. You have Willamette Park, which has the motorboat access, but for the most part, I mean, motorboats can come up to, for example, the Selwood Riverfront Park dock and dock there, but it's not really a place for launching motorboats. So I think the plan overall, by the land use, the riverfront side of things is prioritizing light watercraft over.
Okay, thank you.